everybody, Lindsay here, and we are on to Relentless 3.
Wanna go to the holding pen? Shut your mouth! What happened?
It was our guy.
How do you know? How do you know?
Last time we talked about Dead On Relentless 2, but we're back. We are back with Leo Rossi.
Checking doorknobs was my idea of police work. Made me difficult to live with.
We are back with Francine.
I got tired of chasing him around from gym to gym. I transferred to the DA's squad.
And we are back with a legit serial killer.
We got the first body about 10 days ago. We found this one yesterday.
How similar?
How about exact? He strangles him with something, we're not sure what. Mutilates the body, drops it in a remote area, and sprinkles it with quicklime.
And that serial killer is played by none other than William fucking Forsythe. William Forsythe is the killer in this movie.
I am the star! I am the star! I am the fucking star!
When his name popped up, I got so excited because that's what I wanted back in this franchise. I want a dynamic, over-the-top, insane, iconic villain. And that is exactly what he delivers in this movie.
Sure? Yes. Sure you can't see?
But let's start at the beginning. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The movie picks up 3 years later. Remember when the last one, Relentless 2, ended? Leo Rossi calls up Meg Foster and he's like, baby, I'm gonna apply for that sheriff job and we're gonna move out of this shithole place. So they go away to small town California. Well, in this one, it's 3 years later, and now he's back. He is back on the mean streets of LA, and also for this movie, Leo Rossi is now a producer. So you know what that means. That means Meg Foster is gone. They have been divorced. He is no longer a married man, and he's banging a hot chick. We have a new captain. This new captain doesn't really have a shtick. He drinks milk and wears like a hard-boiled detective hat.
This has turned into some fucking mess. Doesn't anybody have anything to say?
He's kind of like a caricature of a detective. But Leo Rossi is not a detective. When he goes back on the job in LA, he's just a regular cop. He's not investigating murders. He's not investigating serial killers anymore.
How would you feel about coming back to Major Crime Section?
There was a reason why I left Major Crime, Captain.
But Rossi doesn't really want to do the whole serial killer thing again because it hasn't really worked out that great for him in the past. But they need his help. No one can figure out who William Forsythe is or why he's doing this or even connect all the victims yet. They need Rossi.
Not my kind of case anymore.
They're stuck, Sam. I got 13 men standing around playing with themselves. And this guy's gonna keep going until we stop him.
And he agrees. He's like, I'm not on the case. I'm not working the case. I'll just look at the shit and tell you what I think and then I'm out.
I just take a look.
Just a look.
I take a look, I tell them what I know, that's that.
That's all I ask.
And we all know that's not going to happen.
When it comes to these maniacs, you're the best we got.
You can stop blowing in my ear, Captain, because I ain't working a case.
Of course not.
And this part of the movie is where we get introduced to William Forsythe. Who he is when he's not killing women and throwing lye on their bodies to get rid of the evidence. Well, he works some kind of blue-collar job. They don't really show us that. But the way he's dressed and he brings home this lunchbox and thermos thing. And he lives with a woman who's obviously mentally ill or terribly traumatized and abused, as we find out later. But their relationship isn't that clear. At the beginning, you're like, is this his wife? Or is this his sister?
It is you. I'm making some tea, Marianne. I'll be in a little while.
And either way you go, whichever one you choose, it's really fucked up. It's just this woman that he's shacking up with, and they don't really define that relationship at all. It's very weird.
You want me to? Huh? We all have our choices to make. Now help me, Marianne.
But after we see his home life, we see him pick up his next victim, this waitress, who thinks she's going out on a date with him.
You know what?
What?
I really think I like you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And William Forsythe was enough alone for me to be really interested in seeing this movie. But where this movie really grabbed me was this first victim and what he does to her. Because they don't show you, you just hear it. Your mind always imagines something worse. And it's a very, very disturbing and effective scene because you hear these noises, you can kind of piece together maybe what's happening, and it's flashing to all these creepy paintings. And it's just the first in many, many disturbing and creepy and vile scenes we see throughout this movie involving William Forsythe. Now the movie takes a wrinkle because William Forsythe starts sending letters in to Leo Rossi because there's some kind of connection between them. We don't know what it is yet. We know that will probably be revealed at the end of the movie. But there's some connection. There's some reason he wants Rossi on the case.
My dear Detective Dietz, I've followed the inept explorations of the investigation to date. They are blinded by the light of my brilliance. I deserve a star that glows in the firmament as brightly as I deserve you.
And then we're introduced to his partner that he's like, okay, I'll take the case, but I want my old partner back.
I want my old partner, Kowski.
Yeah. What's he doing?
I got him working Vice. But we done 4 of these things together. He knows what he's doing. And I trust him.
This old partner that we've never heard of before and never seen in any of the other movies is back and is played by that guy.
You said you were gonna walk away from this shit. You forgot?
You know, that guy.
Gary, how was your trip to Mars?
He's in everything.
Come on, man, it's Christmas.
So ask Santa Claus to give you another car. Merry Christmas, pal.
You know who he is.
I yelled down at her, hey, you can't go there, you stupid bitch.
You don't know his name, but you know who he is.
I asked you to find a name, not hold my hand. You're welcome.
And then we get another weird scene between William Forsythe and his sister wife, whoever she is.
Yay!
It's his birthday, and the whole scene is just so creepy and just gives you just like stomach-turning feelings watching this whole thing unfold.
That's good. Fattening, though.
And he gets angry and he goes upstairs, and for a second I thought we were gonna get a rage dance thing because he gets down like on one knee like all angsty and turns on some music. But then he gets up and all of a sudden in frame there's this dead woman hanging from the ceiling. And again, it's so disturbing. And it gets even worse because that's not even the worst scene. The worst scene is when he takes his sister wife and forces her to come into the living room to take some pictures.
Give me a smile. Give me a fucking smile.
Like, this is some the house that Jack built level shit going on in this movie.
Definitely, I think too much laying around in bed, you know? Calories in, calories out. We have to take care of ourselves, Marianne. You know? Our bodies are a temple.
But then we get even more of this weird personal connection between Rossi and the killer, because the killer sends the hot new piece, the girlfriend, a thing of dead flowers.
Someone sent me a box of dead flowers with a card signed Love Sam. Are you telling me that wasn't you?
So it's like he's targeting her, sending a message like, hey, I know how to hurt you, kind of thing.
Paula, lock your door. Don't let anybody in. Nobody. I'll be right there.
But then the most heartbreaking scene in the movie happens. He obviously picks these women up by, like, picking them up. Like, say, hey, let's go out on a date. I'll come pick you up. And then he takes them and kills them. While this whole thing is going on with the girlfriend and the dead flowers, and they need to get her in protective custody and all this shit, we see Francine walking out of the DA's building to a parking garage, and all of a sudden William Forsythe is there. We're like, oh shit. But then she's happy to see him because they know each other and they're supposed to go out on a date. And you're like, no, Francine, no.
Oh, brother. Let's take my car. I got a little surprise for you.
Great.
She's stuck with us. She's been in all 3 of these movies, and now she's gone.
That's gonna take us another week.
Needs.
Poor Francine.
Fuck!
Take it easy.
If he wants me, why don't he come after me?
He's not gonna make it that easy.
And then this happens. And so Rossi's trying to figure out who this guy is. There's obviously some kind of personal connection. He can't figure it out. And then he goes and reads the letter that the killer sent him.
Remember I told you there was something about that note that sounded familiar?
Yeah?
In this note, he mentions something about stars. So that makes Rossi think, and this is the part that the movie fails on, is how flimsy this connection is. Because they had a really great movie going for them, and this is the one thing that ticks them down for me. Is how flimsy this connection is and how he puts these things together. The guy mentions stars in this letter. So Rossi goes, oh, I dealt with a serial killer who kept a diary. And he talked about stars, I think. I should go check that out. And so he's looking through this diary of this killer that he caught and has put away. And is like, oh, look he mentioned stars in this poem. And so he thinks there's some kind of connection there. And so he's like, we need to go talk to this serial killer that I previously dealt with and ask him, hey, what the fuck is up with stars?
Where you going with this, Sam?
Stars. Maybe we should go talk to Porter. Ask him about the star thing.
Yes, it's this stupid.
You think a reason is gonna tie these 2 together? How about they're both fucking nuts? How's that for a reason?
So they go, he's not in prison, he's in a psych ward. And they go to the psych ward, and we do the whole Silence of the Lambs, going down the stairs with the warden lady, and she's giving some of this exposition.
There are rarely visitors to Building C. It's where we house our most disturbed patients, the most dangerous. All but a few have been sent here by the courts.
But Porter wasn't originally sent here.
No, he wasn't originally in Building C. He was with us only a few months when we transferred him.
Crawford's very clever, isn't he, using you?
What do you mean, sir?
Pretty young woman to turn him on. I don't believe Lecter's even seen a woman in 8 years.
They go to this guy's room/cell, open it up, and there's this old guy cowering in the corner, and Rossi's like, that's not the dude. Where the fuck's the dude?
I arrested the guy, I ought to know. That's not Porter.
So it turns out that this serial killer that he had previously dealt with and arrested and got sent to a mental institution, escaped, got a new identity and a job, and started killing in a completely different way. And he put that together all because of stars.
That's not Porter, then where the hell's Porter? I don't know where. What do you mean you don't know? Is this going to go out?
I need a phone that goes out. You got one somewhere?
But also, they never address it after that. After they figure out that this guy is not the serial killer, that the serial killer escaped the asylum, they never talk about it. They never talk about that it's him, or there's no like personal confrontation between the killer, William Forsythe, and Rossi. There's no like reasoning behind like, you put me away, so now there's nothing there. They never really interact at all until the last 10 seconds. So after they figure that out, they figure out where he has been staying with Sister Wife.
2 of these addresses are the same. And the workers that are out and porters visit us.
And she's dead. He killed her, and they find all his pictures.
Talk about getting caught in the act.
So they think he's going to go for the girlfriend next. Since he's, been cornered, they figured out who he is. They think he's going to go after the girlfriend. So they use her as bait, and she knows it.
I'm bait for him, aren't I?
Paula, come on.
Just answer my question!
If he comes here, we're going to grab him before he gets anywhere near you.
But evidently it's a red herring, because somehow, again, this is another spot where the movie fails, because we don't see the logic, we don't see the thinking. He doesn't do his Sherlock shtick in this movie. They've got a bunch of cops around her in different places in this hotel, and his partner is tired, so he's like, hey, go home for a few hours, get a nap, come back. So he sends him home. And we see him driving home, and he's being followed. He's being followed by the killer, and we're like, oh shit. But then he thinks he loses him, but he doesn't. And he pulls up in front of his house, and the killer attacks him as he gets out of his car. But wouldn't you know it? Who's here to save the day? It's Rossi. He knew exactly what was gonna happen. We don't know how he knew exactly what was gonna happen, but he knew exactly what was gonna happen. And he set up his partner as the bait, not his girlfriend. This part is what actually made me like Rossi as a character, Detective Dietz as a character. Because William Forsythe has his partner and he's choking him on the ground. And Leo Rossi has his gun to William Forsythe's head and he's not stopping. He's gonna have to shoot him, but he doesn't shoot him. Instead, he pistol whips the fuck out of him over and over and over and over again. And I was like, finally, Rossi did something. Yes, I liked him much more in this movie than I did the first and the second one. He seemed much more of a three-dimensional character. I mean, he's a little more battle-weary than the other two films.
I get too caught up in it. I don't know how I get, but I don't like it. It's like I don't give a shit.
And he's a little more of the reluctant detective. It's like he didn't want to get involved in this in the first place, but he's really good at it, so he just has to do what he's really good at.
How many repeaters you work on?
9.
How many victims?
51.
You want to think this one over, buddy?
I did. I'm bored.
And he's really good at beating the shit out of William Forsythe with a pistol. And then the part of the movie I audibly laughed at. Rossi and his partner in the hospital after they've gotten checked out, etc., etc. And one of the other detectives comes up and he just says, point blank, he just died.
He just died.
And then there's this long, uncomfortable, weird pause, and it's the funniest thing. And then Rossi goes back to his apartment, hotel room, bachelor pad, whatever it is. And he's laying there and the phone rings. And you know what's on the other end of that phone. It's the captain. And he needs Rossi's help again because there's another serial killer. But you know what? Rossi's like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And so he lets it ring. Cut to his son playing soccer in some small town in California, and Rossi shows up in a cab. I don't know what that means for the future or what we're supposed to take from that. He has a bag with him, but it's not like a bunch of luggage. Is he just coming to visit? Is he gonna try to go back to Meg Foster? I don't think she's in the next movie. I don't think she'd take him back. I don't know. Because we know he's not going to change. He hasn't changed for 3 movies. He's Rossi.
I got it.
No.
I'm sorry. I got it. Feet.
Even with some of the plot device faults that this movie has, I think this is my favorite one so far because they go so hard with the content and I was not expecting it. And it just goes to show you how important the villain is in a movie like this, because in 2, the villain sucked and the movie suffered because of that. In the first one, we had a pretty good villain. We had Judd Nelson, and he was all crazy cuckoo over his cop dad. And it was dynamic and interesting, and he was the most interesting part of that movie. In this one, William Forsythe definitely is the most interesting thing going on screen.
Yeah, sure. You went out with me because I'm a stud. Studly.
But Leo Rossi is he's showing up. He's showing up. I am so excited to move on to Relentless 4, which is the final movie in the Relentless franchise. The only person back, or that could come back, is Leo Rossi. He's the only thing that is consistent throughout this franchise is Leo Rossi, because Francine's dead now. But I haven't looked at a preview or a cast list or anything about 4, so I'm gonna go in on that one blind. I can't wait. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.